it's crappy weather again, so I was trying to think like what video I could film because the weather is really bad. You might not be able to tell. It might, I think in the camera it just looks like really bright. It's like there's no sun, it's gray, it's rainy. Like I don't understand the weather these past couple weeks. And shitty. It's just been horrible. So keeping up with my trying to schedule out videos, I decided to film my summer books. I actually have 3 piles right here. I have my top 15 books for summer. So I'm sorry if this is like a little bit of a long video. I'm going to just jump right into it. I'm not going to worry about it. Basically, my book taste isn't as diverse as I'd like to think it is. With the exception of like Ellen Hopkins, most of my books are like young adult romance novels, basically. Like, first book I'm going to give you, I'm going to start with like the sort of like future dystopian society books. The first one is, I'm just going to get out of the way, The Hunger Games. If you're looking for an easy book to read in the summer, this is a very short book. You get so into it. You've probably already read it. You've probably read it a million times, like everyone has, but just in case you haven't. You get so into this, and like literally I read this in like 3 days, and I was like done. There are 3 books. It's Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and then Mockingjay. It's basically about this future society where everything is broken up into districts, and every year from those 2 districts, 1 boy and 1 teenage girl, like a teenage boy and girl, are chosen to go into this arena and fight to the death. And it's sort of about like these 2 tributes, as they're called, like from District 12, and it's sort of about everything that happens to them in there. I'm trying not to give anything away. I'm really bad at describing things without giving things away. The next dystopian one is Uglies. I read Uglies in 7th grade. Oh my god. This one is about a future society where when you turn 16, you get sent, or not sent, you get to undergo an operation that turns you from an ugly, which is like a normal person, to a pretty, which is like a perfect, like everything is perfect about you, like, and then you're sent over to this new place and you don't have to worry about school, you don't have to worry about work, you don't have to worry about anything. It's your whole life in this new pretty town is partying. And it's basically about this girl who's about to turn 16, which is when you get your operation. And she meets this girl, her name is Tally. She meets this girl named Shay who doesn't want to be pretty. And to Tally, that's like unheard of. And she's like, I've been counting down my entire life to be pretty. And then it's this whole big deal, and like they run away and they find this place where like they can be ugly forever, and I don't know, it's really good. And there's 2 other books. It's Uglies, Pretties, then Specials. And then there's like another book, it's called Extras. I think it's just like a little sort of like extra to the series. I don't know if it, I don't know, I haven't gotten there yet, so I don't know if it's like, a major part of the book. Okay, the next author I'm going to talk to you about is Sarah Dessen. If you watch Lolu Fully Loaded, which you probably do, she has gotten into Sarah Dessen recently, and Sarah Dessen has been one of my favorite authors since How to Deal, since the movie How to Deal came out with Allison Janney and Trent Ford and Mandy Moore was in it. Like, ever since that movie came out, that has been one of my all-time favorite books and authors. And Sarah Dessen basically writes the same story every single time. But the way she does it is so like, just like, it makes it keeps it interesting. Like, honestly, if you read the same book a million times, how would you feel? Like, basically, Sarah Dessen, boy meets girl, boy and girl become friends, boy and girl get together, something happens, and they break up, and then they get back together in the end. Like, that's basically the storyline of every Sarah Dessen love story. But each one has, like, a little twist in it that just makes it so interesting to read. Like, okay, 3 favorites right here. My first favorite, like, my absolute all-time favorite is Just Listen. It's about a girl named Annabelle, and she's a model. And something happens to her that you don't find out what happens until like the very end of the book. And like, she just keeps saying that thing that happened that night and all this stuff. And you're like, what happened? And she kind of loses all of her friends, and she's like alone for a little bit. And then she meets this guy named Owen, who's like the most hated kid in school. And he's like just this big, like, I don't know, like I imagine him as like freaking, I don't know, I don't even know who I imagine him as, but like he's just like big, and he is like obsessed with music. And like that's why it's called Just Listen, and that's why on the cover she has 2 iPods. If you can see, she has 2 different iPods. And like he has like a radio show, and he starts like teaching her about music and stuff, and that's kind of like how they bond. The next one is Along for the Ride. This one is really good. This one is like perfect for summer because it takes place in summer. It's about a girl named Auden who was raised by like an English professor at like a fancy school, and she was raised to be this like genius. So she is, and she decides to go down and live with her dad in a place called Colby, North Carolina, which is actually where a few of Sarah Dessen's books take place. And what I like about Sarah Dessen is that all of her books sort of like come back to each other. Like every book has something to do with the other books. Like they'll all like, oh, like in this one, they're at a club and they're talking to a band, and they're like, oh, well, this is Dexter and Remy, and Dexter and Remy are the main couple in the book This Lullaby. So it's really cool to like see how like everything kind of like pans together, and they all take place, and there's like 3 places where the book is going to take place. Colby, Jackson, and I think there's a third, and I think there might be a 3rd place, like Lakeview. They're all like the same town. I'm assuming it's in South Carolina. Okay, and this one, she moves there, and she doesn't know how to ride a bike. And that's why there's like a bike on the cover. She gets a job working for her stepmom, or her, I guess it is stepmother, I guess. And she is like running this store, and it's like super girly and like everything, and she like kind of has to learn how to be a normal teenager because she never got the normal teenage experience. And then this one, Lock and Key, this one is about a girl whose mom leaves her. Like randomly just leaves her. And so she is living on her own, and then she gets sent to live with her sister and her brother-in-law. And her brother-in-law invented Facebook, but they don't call it that. They call it like Yumi or something. Her brother-in-law is basically Mark Zuckerberg. He invented Facebook. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say he's Cameron Winklevoss because he invented the Facebook that isn't Facebook, but whatever. So she gets sent there, and she starts like, she becomes friends with like her neighbor whose name is Nate. Like you find out like all this stuff about her and about him, and her name is Ruby, and I really like that. I think it's because I read this one a while ago. So Sarah Dessen is great for summer. She is like, they're not hard to read. They're super easy. Not super easy, but they are like easy to read, and like you could probably, they're big like you can see, but you can probably knock through one of these in a week. Especially like if you're at the beach and you're sitting on the beach, you want to read. Sarah Dessen. Get at her. Next one is Pretty Little Liars. If you haven't read Pretty Little Liars, or you haven't seen Pretty Little Liars, I don't know where you've been. Pretty Little Liars has like 12 books. There's 2 different, I consider it to be 2 different series within Pretty Little Liars. There's the first, I guess, 9 books, and then there's the new books that are coming out now that are the Second Secret and the Second A, or like the new A. And like basically, as you know from the show, it's about 4 girls who used to be best friends. The book is very different. In the book, Allie goes missing in 7th grade, and she's missing for 3 years before they get contacted by A. And that's why it's sort of realistic to think, oh, maybe she's back. Like maybe she's just been gone. And like this book, honestly, like I guess I'm like a really paranoid person. I get so paranoid about things. This book gave me nightmares. Like I couldn't sleep for a week after I read this. I kept thinking like someone's watching me, like oh my god. And like around the time I was getting a lot of like prank phone calls from like private numbers, and like that were just like really like creepy, because like there was like this group of kids in my town that just basically like decided that like, you know what, hey, let's hang out with Kelsey. Let's fuck with Kelsey's head a little bit. And I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. It's whatever. Have your fun. I don't care. So like it was like right around the time that I was reading this, and it was my freshman year in high school, and it was just the worst possible time for this to be happening, so it was like cool things. It's about a group of girls who are best friends. One of them goes missing, and then 3 years later they start getting this person called A who is blackmailing them into just like doing things. And like it's really interesting, and I don't know, if you have seen the show, the book is very, very different, and I think you might like it. If you like the show, you'll probably like the books. The next one is called North of Beautiful. It's basically about this girl. Her name is Terra, T-E-R-R-A, and I like books about people with weird names. Like, I don't know, I like it. And Terra is this girl. She's like so pretty. She's like she's made out to be like the prettiest girl in the world. She's like skinny and blonde and like naturally gorgeous, but she has a port wine stain on her face. If you don't know what a port wine stain is, it's just like a little like, I think my friend used to have one. It's like a red birthmark on your face, or it's, well, anywhere, but hers is on her cheek, so. And her mom is very crazy about it. Her mother is like, her mother like takes her to all these like conferences and conventions and like things like trying to get like, and like all these different like plastic surgeries and like laser treatments trying to get rid of this birthmark on her face. And like, and her dad like doesn't like her that much, and her dad's like, I'm only paying for one school, but she wants to go to school in like, I think she wants to go to RISD, but her dad's like, I'm only paying for Western Washington, blah, 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 blah. And then she meets this boy named Jacob, who's this Asian goth guy who every time I look at him, or every time I hear this, I think of Harry Shum Jr., Mike friggin' Chang. So, and like basically like they go to China, and I know they go to China because he's Chinese. He's adopted from China. Basically like it's about like them and like their lives and like how she interacts with other people based on this like birthmark on her face. Which sounds really weird, but like it's also about like everyone kind of learning to accept it, you know? Because like honestly, like, you're born with a fucking birthmark, get over it. Okay, this is the only book on this list that I haven't actually read. This is 20 Boy Summer. I bought this a few years back and I want to friggin' read it, but I'm just too lazy. It's basically about this girl to a place called Zanzibar Bay, and it's 20 days, and Anna's supposed to meet Anna's the main girl. She has to meet a new boy every day. And it's basically about how like Frankie's brother like died in a car accident, and like I guess like Anna was like in love with him or something. I don't know. I haven't watched it, so I haven't read it, so I'll hopefully read it sometime this summer. It's on my list, so it'll get there. I just think because like the cover is all summery, and like it's called 20 Boy Summer, so I think this would be easy to read in the summer. I'll let you know how this goes. Okay, this one I'm not sure if I ever finished. It's called Bass Backwards and Belly Up. It's basically about these 4 girls. There's only 3 on the cover, but I know there's 4 of them. Am I right? Oh no, there's 3. Harper, Sophie, and Kate. And they all decide to, like basically, one of them doesn't get into college. And she had only applied to one school. And oh, I haven't read this one yet either, the next one that I'm like hitting right now. She didn't get into the college she wanted to. So she convinces her friends to give up college to go live their dreams. There has to be, I thought there definitely was supposed to, oh yeah, there is 4. She's right here. Okay, there's 4 of them. So she convinces 3 of her friends to give up on college and live their dreams. So one goes to LA to become an actress, one goes to Africa or something. One goes to college, and the main girl, I think her name is Harper. I think it's Harper is the one. I think Harper is the one that doesn't get into college. She stays home to work on her novel. And like it's basically about like how they decide, how like they all were just like, let's go live our dreams, because like you're 18 years old, that's the time you should be doing that, like, you know? So she's like, don't go to college, guys, it's okay, just live your dreams. So there's actually a sequel to this. It's in my basement and I never ever want to touch it because my basement is disgusting. It's called like Foot Free and Fancy Loose. So there's that. And then there's The Lion Game, which is also by Sarah Shepard. It's kind of like Pretty Little Liars. Actually, it's nothing like Pretty Little Liars. There's a TV show about it. The TV show is also very wrong. In here, I'm on Saxon? Sutton. I was like, Saxon? Sutton is dead! Sutton dies in the book, I think. Actually, that might be a spoiler. Spoiler alert, Sutton's dead. Just in case that was a spoiler. Because it says right here, like the worst part about being dead, like the whole premise of the book is that the girl's dead, and Sutton is dead, and Emma has to go in to live Sutton's life to find out why she's dead. Okay, the next one is, okay, this one is a book that I actually had to read for school, and I wasn't sure whether or not I should put it in here, but I did really like it. Okay, I'm gonna premise this by saying I am not a huge Beatles fan at all. hate me if you will, I was never like that big into them, you know? Like, I mean, I love Across the Universe and I do like some of their music, but like I was never big into the Beatles. You know, like they were never like my favorite band ever. So we had to read this book for my film class senior year in high school. We had a whole like section on music, and half that section was on the Beatles. So we got this book called Ticket to Ride. It's by Larry Kane, who is actually from Philadelphia, I believe. And he was a journalist, and it's basically like about it says Ticket to Ride, inside the Beatles' 1964 world tour that changed the world. It was like the first time the Beatles came to America. If you like the Beatles, or if you like music history, like that's why I got into this, because I'm more into like music history. I really like this, so you might like this too. Is Lauren Conrad's LA Candy. I have yet to finish this because I bought it at the shore and then it got lost when I came home, and then I just found it a little while ago. You're so awkward. About these two girls, Jane and Scarlett, who moved to LA and they end up like getting asked to be on a reality show, and it's basically what happened behind the scenes of The Hills. That's what I like about this, because it's loosely based on Lauren's experience with The Hills. It kind of tells you, like, it basically shouts it out as, oh hey guys, The Hills was fake, basically, which is cool. Like, I like that. It's also kind of like Ellen Blair's book that's coming out, so that are a little bit like darker than all the other ones. I have this one. It's called Crank by Ellen Hopkins. It's about a girl who's 17 and her name is Christina, and she's the perfect daughter. It says, Christina is the perfect daughter, gifted high school junior, quiet, never any trouble, until she meets the monster, Crank. And what begins as a wild ride turns into a struggle for her mind, her soul, and her life. This is a trilogy. It's Crank, Glass, and Fallout. Crank is about a girl who is 17 and she goes to visit her dad in New Mexico, and she gets addicted to crystal meth. And I know Glass is about her going to jail and like having, and like all this stuff, like it's basically about her on the drug. This is about her getting into the drug, and like all the different ways she is found to get the drug. And then the next one is about her being on the drug and how the drug is affecting her life. And then the last one, Fallout, is about her children, because she has kids that are fucking illegitimate kids, and it's great and I love them. I like this because the book itself is so easy to read. It's set up in free verse poetry, if you can see that. So it looks big. It looks like a big book, so like it looks like, oh, that's kind of intimidating, but you go through this so fast. Like, honest to God, like I lost sleep over this book. Like, I read it stupidly like during the school year, and I literally, probably in the week that it took me to read this, I think I slept 2 hours a night, because I did not want to put this down. That's the problem I have with Ellen Hopkins books. They're just so damn good. I can't put them down. 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. This is about a 16-year-old girl, I think. I don't know. I don't think it tells you how old she is. And she kills herself. And basically she leaves behind this set of cassette tapes to a list of 13 people that there's 13 people, and you have to like, they pass the tapes on from one person to the next. And it's like detailing why these 13 people are the reason that she killed herself. And it's so interesting, and it's just like, I cried a couple of times in this book. Like, I literally, and it follows the one guy who has the tapes. He's one of the last people. His name is Clay. And it basically follows him and his involvement in her death, and like you find out why he's on the list, even though he didn't do anything. He's like, I don't even know this person, basically. So it's very interesting and a very good book. Okay, so the last one is, if you're a little bit younger, I actually considered reading this again because I loved it when I was younger, and I might actually read it again. I read this in 7th grade, and I actually got a couple of girls, maybe 8th grade? I think 8th grade. The Year in Secret Assignments. basically it's about these girls in Australia. I used to be obsessed with like Australians and like Australia and stuff. And I'm sorry, it's basically about these girls in Australia, and they go to like an all-girls school. They get paired up with these boys from another school that's like considered like the bad school, like the bad boy school. And in this pen pal program, they get cast about how like they get to know each other, and like one of them isn't who one of the boys isn't who he says he is. Haha, got you hooked, didn't I? And then Lydia, I'm pretty sure Lydia is the one who like gives the girls secret assignments, and she starts giving, I'm pretty sure Lydia's with Sebastian, that's the thing. Because I feel like Emily is the, I'm pretty sure I was right. Emily is the one who gives the secret assignments, and Emily is with Sebastian. I don't know. And they all, like, they end up, like, meeting, and, like, they end up, like, getting together and stuff, and, like, a couple of them are, like, dating, and I don't know. It's really good. There's not a lot of things I can say about this book because I haven't read it in a while, but it is a very good book, and, like, this was one of my favorites, so I'm just gonna throw this in there. So those are my summer 2012 book recommendations. Take them as it is. I don't know. If you have any book recommendations for me, you can leave them in the comments below. It doesn't matter what kind of book it is. Any kind of book. I will probably read it. So it will go on my list of books that I'm going to read for the summer. So yeah, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day and an awesome summer. So stay glamorous and rock the hell on. I think I stole that from the girl at Beauty Vlogger Bootcamp, but whatever. Long hair, don't cur.